Okay, well, welcome to the first in the fall series of topics. This is a ongoing monthly seminar that I've been running on issues in orgonomy for the last couple of years, and I must say that I haven't gotten this kind of turnout before, but that's okay. This is a special occasion to have Dr. Sobey give a very rare presentation, since he hasn't really
the only one.
The only one. And it was a real surprise to me too. I had asked him if he knew anybody who could give a presentation on the scientific base of Reich's work, and he said, "Why don't you ask me?" I did. Yeah, that was your mistake. And I did ask him, and he agreed. And he got a little bit hesitant as the time got closer.
It's correct to say no.
Right. Anyway, he will speak today on a range of topics, presenting some sense of Reich's scientific work and his experiences. At some point, he'll indicate he wants to take a break, and then we'll take a short break. And there's coffee and fruit and bagels. And I want to thank Sepp Zeitz and Martha Gallo and Rudy Zeitz, whose law office is, for their cooperation in really making it available to all of us. And I hope you will enjoy yourselves and learn something. And everyone can turn on the tape, sir. Okay.
Ready? Okay, here I am. When I started to prepare for this seminar or lecture, whatever you want to call it, I became overwhelmed. It suddenly reminded me of Willie and Eugene Howard. They were comedians way back in the 20s and 30s. They were sort of Jewish American type of comedians. And one of the jokes I used to say, how to learn French in 5 hard lessons or 10 easy ones. But when I started to look over all this material, I thought it'd be 100 hard lessons, lectures, and 500 easy ones. So I'm going to try to pick one of the easy ones. I'm recommending that if you really get a very good idea, a synopsis of the Wilhelm Reich Selected Writings and Introduction to Orgonomy, published by Ferrari Strauss. And that's the way one should really, really approach this. I remember, it was about 1951 or so. There was a lot of talk about orgonomy, and it was in periodicals, newspapers. So the American Psychiatric Association obviously got a lot of inquiries. And instead of, inquiries as to an explanation about orgonomy. So instead of appointing 1 or 2 of us to be on the board to answer the letters of inquiries, they wrote form letters to each one of the orgonomists. At that time, it's about 25 or 30 of us, and saying, please put in your own words, explain the orgonomy. So when we had a regular seminar with Dr. Reich, we all brought this to his attention, and he said, well, what do they want to know? All my books are out there. So, none of us could describe and explain the works as well as his writings. So he had to write a form letter back saying that refer them to the books, and also if they appoint one or 2 of us to the committee on answering inquiries, which of course we never heard from them, and that was that. So that's why I've recommended to really read the books um, when I suggested to get a better idea, I mean, I could go through this, but it would take about 10, 20, so I'm picking out the highlights of what he thought was the most important part of his work and discovery. He used to say he only discovered one thing, and that was the organotic pulsation, which was the organotic pulsation. It was only a pulsation, and it was energy before mass. In difference to Einstein, who exploded mass into energy, which is dangerous, whereas his orgone energy is not dangerous to any flora or fauna and forms mass. Okay, he said from there on, there's only a skeleton building, and it all has to be filled in. And he said he by the time he went to jail, he filled in very, very little of it. So the whole world left open. I met Dr. Reich about around December 1947, and I was in my psychiatric residency at the Veterans Administration, and one of the new residents came in, and he had all Dr. Reich's books and boasting and raving about the works and everything, and we were all doctors, psychiatric residents after World War II, and we were older men, had been exposed to all of the prominent schools of psychiatry at the time, and we were all really quite impressed. And one of the lectures we had there from the New York Psychoanalytical was Dr. Shilyansky. He was one of the top guys. So in the middle of it, we were unhappy with him. He was very stiff, very dogmatic and whatnot. And we asked him if he knew about Wilhelm Reich and his work. Well, you thought we had introduced the devil into that lecture room there. He said, I don't want to hear that name anymore, and if you're going to discuss it, I will not come here. Okay. So then we continued to talk about it among ourselves, and one by one we went over, saw Dr. Reich, and I went over by myself, and before I went, by that time I read all his material, and I was so impressed with it, I expected to see a giant or whatnot. And, I got there, and the man was very imposing. He was about my height. And if you look at the pictures, you see me. And Karen says, yes. So I looked at him, I says, how could he be any good if he looks like me? Well, anyhow, it didn't take me very long to go back to my the fantasy I built up about him, because he really was something different. I mean, he was out there, his energy field was out there, he was kind, sympathetic, but at the same time he was quite definite in what he wanted. So I like to bring in some of these, in the beginning, some of the personal things about him, which I don't know if it's known or whatnot. Some of it has been written, but to give an idea how kindly the man was, even though he was attacked viciously by people. At one time, that must have been around 1950 or so, there was a complaint brought against him from the Hillside Psychiatric Hospital in Hillside, Jamaica. And at that time, Hillside Hospital was the psychoanalytical establishment or hospital, really in the United States. And the rumor came out, and Dr. Reich's first wife, Annie Reich, was involved in it too. And it was Obendorf and Miller, who was head of the hospital. That Dr. Reich had gotten a woman, an older woman, out of the hospital, who was a patient there, very ill, and brought her over to his office and laboratory over in Forest Hills. And he examined her and he put it behind the rumor was, actually it was an accusation, that he put it behind an x-ray machine, which he didn't have, and he masturbated her. Well, you know, that was a pretty serious accusation. At the time, there was a psychiatric and psychoanalytical resident at the Hillside Hospital, Dr. Singer, who had by himself gotten interested in Dr. Reich's work, and he heard about the rumor, and he knew the woman. In fact, she was somewhat of a patient of his too, with other doctors, and he was flabbergasted because the woman never even left the hospital. And when Singer asked her, "Do you know Dr. Reich?" She said, "I never heard of him. I never left the hospital." Well, Singer came to Dr. Reich and told him the whole story, and he signed an affidavit to that effect. And we brought it to our lawyer at that time, Ernst. He was the top civil rights lawyer. I don't know if, well, he's probably all too young to remember him. He was really the #1 civil rights lawyer. And he looked at the stuff and he said, "You have a case here, a very good case." So we all met, and Dr. Reich said, "Well, yeah." So our lawyer contacted Dr. Miller, the head of the hospital, who knew about it at that time, and said, "You know, our client is going to bring a case against you." Miller said, "It's all written out." He says, I know. He says, I should have had my head examined, but I went along with it." So then when we had our meeting, we discussed it, and Dr. Reich said, "Well, can I see a show of hands?" So we go ahead with it. And we all said, "Yes, you know, let's go to battle." And he looks at us, he says, "No." He says, "I can't do it." He said, "If we do this," he said, "Miller is ruined, and the others are ruined, and my wife or ex-wife will be ruined. I'm not going to do it." That shows the type of man he was. That was one of the plagues that I like to bring out. Another plague we had, this goes way ahead, when the government served Dr. Reich with selling fraudulent material and writing fraudulent books about a fraudulent device, the accumulator and cumulative substances. And Mr. Green was a lawyer in Jersey, and he was a Republican, and he knew top Republican officials. And in fact, he was a lawyer for many of the pharmaceutical houses in Jersey, which New Jersey has many of. And one time, they had a national convention of American Association of Pharmaceutical Houses, factories. And how Mr. Green was also involved. His daughter, who had been very ill, had gone into treatment with one of the orgonomists after she'd been in treatment with many other psychiatrists, and where she didn't get much help, but she improved quite a bit, so he was impressed. Anyhow, the president of the American pharmaceutical industry was there, and Mr. Green went up to him and said, "I heard a lot of things about this Orgonomy and Dr. Reich." He said, he said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "It's nothing." He looks at Green, he said, "But you know, if that was for real, he said, we wouldn't want it anyhow. We'd do everything in the world to kill it. So that's where we had to contend with